Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Awakening playthrough. Last time, we faced ourselves and awoken to the potential of Persona... not really. If only. But we did face ourselves, and recruited a Versa into the bargain. This time... I'm not exactly looking forward to this, but there's only one Spotpass paralogue left. And naturally, only one set of Risen would spawn. Okay, that's gonna be annoying. So, this here, the Garden of Giants, is the location of the last paralogue we have to do. This is basically the last chapter in the game before the final chapter. Thing is, this chapter was released months after the game first came out, and was definitely intended for players who had already beaten the final chapter and grinded extensively. This chapter is quite insane. It's probably about 10 times harder than the final chapter, so after I do this, the final chapter is going to look kind of pathetic. But the reason why I want to do this beforehand is, there is a character that we recruit from this chapter, and they do comment on the final one, so I need to show that. But first... oh hey, Jerome and Shush have reached an A support. That's exactly why I wanted to use him in the last chapter. Crom and Liss have a support, and then we have Kellam and Noir. Now, there are a few supports that I want to go through before this chapter. Mainly, I want to, now, for some strange reason, I didn't realise this, but Mary Sue is only in a B with Morgan. I really don't know how I overlooked that, but I'm going to have to fix that soon. Also, what I want to do is... where is Morgan? Gary Stu, where are you in this list? Oh, you're at the second slot, okay. I want to actually grind him up to maximum with Nah, and as for Nah, I want to max her supports with both her parents. Reason being, I think I'm going to have to abuse Nah quite a bit in this next chapter, and having supports is really, really useful there. Now, I may as well just do Jerome and Shush's... he's only going to be with Virion A. Training must get awkward with two Minervas possibly having to train against each other.
Yes.
If I may.
Well, yeah, he kind of put on his surliness himself.
Yes.
Well, at least people finally had a higher opinion of Virion.
No.
That's a pretty awesome line from Jerome. A pretty short support, but it's definitely a pretty nice one. Also, Jerome has maxed his strength stat, which is pretty cool. Though with Virion as his father, his caps more lie in skill and speed. Now, I'm going to grind for a few more supports, but I guess we could do Crom and Liss's A.
Hey.
I hope they said, promote to a ridiculously broken class that has A ranks in every single weapon type and gains enormous promotion bonuses, because that is how you be a good princess in Fire Emblem. Yeah, take a note of from Lachesis' book. That was Maribel, wasn't it?
Really?
Huh?
No.
Again, I really hope that most common advice was promoting to a ridiculously broken class that has A ranks and everything and gets ridiculous promotion bonuses.
Good.
Hey.
This still feels very weird when I've got Lissa already reclassed into a second class, and she's definitely contributing.
Right.
Huh?
Yes.
Right.
That's a really nice support, actually. Not really all that much extra to say there. And with that, all I have left to do is an absolute ton of grinding. I'm probably gonna have to grind quite a bit for this one. In fact, what I might do is, I might go and sell that bullion that I got, because that's gonna be useful for buying extra second seals. Weirdly enough, I actually want the second seals mostly to reclass people back into their normal classes. For example, I could do that with Morgan, but in a way I want to keep him as a sorcerer for certain reasons that will become apparent later. But Kroll might definitely want to get him back into Great Lord as soon as possible, and everyone else, yeah, I'll see what to do later. So, yeah, I'll be back here in quite a while for me, but not very long for you. So, see you in a bit. Okay, so I've kind of done a fair amount of off-camera grinding, and as you can also tell, I've done quite a few off-screen reclasses of characters that already reached level 20. Well, at least some of them, for those that I can actually afford second seals for. So yeah, also you'll notice that Thari's a sniper now. And Lucina's back to being a Great Lord, Noe is now a Wyvern Lord, yeah, I have actually, and yeah, Jerome's got Minerva back, so, yes, I've actually done quite a bit of off-screen reclassing and a bit of grinding, just in preparation for this next chapter, and through all those skirmishes, I also have an absolute crap ton of support, so, while I didn't entirely plan this, this is going to be another support episode. I had a feeling that I would need one before I actually beat the game, so yeah, have another support episode. Now, I'll start off with a couple of support conversations for Spotpass characters, because, well, this is just some of the few cases of character development they actually have.
Oh.
So firstly, Walmart the Conqueror.
What? Yes.
This support's actually quite interesting, and it does actually show a kind of different side to Walhart. Oh yeah, I definitely know. Well, considering you commanded an AI army, I guess that makes sense, ha ha ha. Then again, considering what kind of a person Walhart's tactician actually was, I'm not surprised that he doesn't really like using tacticians.
Oh.
Again, considering the kind of person this strategist was, he kinda had no choice.
This is nature.
And Walhart is a giant ham even in the support conversations. Again, because Excellus was an idiot, of course he had no need for it.
I see.
Yes.
Now this is interesting.
No.
Amusing. Lead or be led.
So we get a bit more insight into Walhart's philosophy, and the fact that Walhart's actually not really all that much of a hypocrite. with his whole might makes right philosophy, the fact that he lost means that he does in fact see himself as weak. So his own philosophy does apply to himself.
Well...
And he has no illusions of trying to take over this army for himself. He's just fine to be just another soldier.
Very well.
And that's interesting. So yeah, that support actually turned out to be more interesting than I thought. As did this one, the one for Yen Fei.
Whoa.
Kinda like, Gary Stewart Nas supports there.
Oh.
No doubt Maribel's prepared the tea, or could have been Brady. And Yen Fei's still going on about this.
Huh?
And this is actually something kind of interesting about this support. They mention the fact that, you know, since Yen Fei was the ruler of Chonsin, couldn't this Yen Fei just go back there and say, hey guys, I'm alive, and just rule his country again? But the fact that he's not the Yen Fei of this world means that it might get kind of awkward if that happened. That and the fact that this universe's Yen Fei is absolutely, definitely, 100% dead, and that's been confirmed.
So be it.
And to Sairi.
Yeah.
But we are grateful for Yen Fei's assistance because he is pretty powerful. Now, any other supports that I could do? Let's see. I actually have Tharu and Noe C. Maybe I'll do those a bit later. Donnellan, and Kellerman. Actually, you know what I am going to do Lucina and Tiki's B? This is probably as high as I'll take this support conversation, but this is actually a very interesting one, and the real reason why I actually initiated these supports in the first place.
Yes.
And we have Tiki's theme playing for this. I mean, it's actually more like Naga's theme, since it's called Legend of the Divine Dragon, but anyway.
Well... No, wait.
So yeah, Lucina wants to know what Marth was really like.
I see.
Well, that makes him a pretty typical Fire Emblem protagonist.
Huh? Yes. Huh?
And this is why I wanted to show this.
Well...
So, just based on vague ideas of Marth's stories, Lucina seems to have thought that Marth was some kind of invincible, all-conquering badass.
Yes.
But here, conversing with someone who actually knew Marth personally, she finds out that he was actually quite different. And I love this line. This line is just such a take that at Shadow Dragon's side quest system. The developers, since that game, seem to just love taking potshots at that, going, no, no, no. That whole method of intentionally killing characters to get side quests and encouraging you to sacrifice people, that was stupid, forget that ever happened. I just love that so much.
But don't you see?
Well, you are in a Fire Emblem game on the same continent. That makes sense.
Well...
And this part doesn't really make that much sense unless you played Mystery of the Emblem or its remake. I'm really annoyed those are Japan only, because they're so much better than Shadow Dragon. And speaking of which, there's also a bit of a, it's not so much a plot hole, but something that people who haven't played Mystery of the Emblem don't realise. Whenever anyone refers to Marth as the Hero King, or King Marth, Marth was not just the King of Altea, he actually became King of the entire continent at the end of Mystery of the Emblem. And that's something that most non-Japanese fans of the series won't be aware of.
No.
Well, I mean, he was a prince, but still. And he especially needed help from allies because Marth, well, apart from the first game, where apparently FE1 Marth was actually pretty overpowered, but after that, Marth tended to be kind of weak in his own games, couldn't promote and all that.
Huh? Yes.
Well, of course, only Unri had no help. He was the one who had to go through Dragon's Way alone. And again, possible potshot at Shadow Dragon not having a support system.
All right. You have my gratitude.
So, that support, I really like that support, it's interesting. It just shows how much Lucina just did not do her research when she impersonated Marth, or simply the fact that she couldn't, because after 2,000 years, just people have really forgotten what the real Marth was really like. It's a really interesting conversation, and then comparing that to someone who actually knew Marth personally, I really like that. Now, anyone else? Okay, I know there are a few S supports I can do. Maybe now I should focus on some parent-child ones. For example, Mary Sue and Gary Stu A. I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. I think I just forgot because I really planned to do this much earlier in the story.
I see.
And of course, Mary Sue is perfect in every way and always wins strategy games. Seems like Gary Stu needs to learn a bit more in the way of being a brokenly overpowered fanfiction character.
You're all right.
That last line that Mary Sue said is something that comes up in the Avatar supports with Virion. Virion is apparently incredibly good at chess, but the way he plays results in a lot of sacrifices, and that's why Virion does not actually let himself be the tactician of the army, because he knows that the way that he does things, he wins battles, but he does it at huge cost, and he'd end up being hated for it. So yeah, tacticians have to run simulations. And Gary Stu's still in his books. Oh, that's a terrifying thought. One day he will surpass his mother in terms of sooness.
Yeah.
But he's actually getting closer to that than we probably think. Yeah, he's almost surpassed his mother, and that's a terrifying thought. Anyway, and now, okay, more parent-child conversations. Which one should I do first? Nars or Noir? I think I'll start with Nars. And I'll do Noe first because this one's a little less serious than Donald's.
Whew. So.
Clearly, Noe doesn't like studying.
Okay.
But this cataclysmic war is almost over.
Yay. Listen. Nope.
Yeah, turns out that these games actually have a practical purpose.
Whoa.
Though I am, it's a bit weird that Na would be getting tired here considering how ridiculous her stats are in my file. But yeah, Noe knows a lot more than she's letting on, as always.
Yes!
Playing seriously. So yeah, that's a very, very short support, but this one, get ready for some more future child angst.
Hey.
As is typical with this music.
Mm-hmm.
That was a while ago when I got their last support, so yeah. I'm starting to think that Na's supports with her parents actually raise more slowly than other child characters, though I could be wrong.
So,
Now we finally find out her backstory and what that whole used to disappointment thing meant.
Huh?
mm-hmm.
She never knew either of her parents. Now, this is most likely not someone not an actual named character, probably just a generic Elysian soldier. Because, really, the family of any of the people we have in our party would not be like this.
Trust me.
I'm sure she'd be great at that. Wow. And finally, she shows her true emotions. I actually find Na's backstory to be one of the saddest of the future children, really, because that just... Oh, having to grow up with a racist family like that would have just been horrible. And yeah, that's why she wanted to find out so much about her family, because she never even knew either of them.
Whoa!
You ain't alone.
Yay!
Okay then. Let's just hope Donnie's a bit more, wanting to talk about that than Crom was. I'm still just trying to imagine how Donnie would have introduced Noe to his mother back home. That would have been really, really awkward. And with that... Okay, yeah, I'll go to another parent-child conversation. I'm actually going to do the one with Kellum here first, because weird as it might seem, this one's actually more uplifting.
Huh?
Okay. No.
Now, don't worry, Kellum doesn't have the Dark Mage class option, so, if Noir's father was Henry, she might have to worry, but, with Kellum, not so much. And hey, he actually used his ninja-ness to, steal them right from under her nose.
Huh?
He's probably one of the few people who can actually pull that off, seeing as, her dark magic usually lets her see people sneaking up on her most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah, we can change the future, even the fate of this family.
Ready when you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is kind of a little much. That line's actually kind of ironic, though, considering, something involving Tharia and possibly the next Fire Emblem game. Well, that's not good. I have this suspicion that Bears was actually localization added. Seems to be one of their obsessions. Uh-oh, Tharia's activated vengeance.
What?
Well, I did give him the boots. Maybe things can change. And that is a perfect lead up into this conversation.
You've got this.
This is probably part of the reason why I didn't reclass Noir to Dark Mage, because otherwise this conversation wouldn't make sense since she'd already learned how to cast hexes. Huh.
Huh? Yeah. What?
Interesting.
I think we know what the situation is here. It's very similar to Sully's parent-child supports. Wait, so that wasn't supposed to do that? Well, that's interesting. Noir certainly is more special than we would have thought. Yeah, just like Sully did.
Huh?
Though in this case, it's a really big deal.
Useless. Well,
Yeah, it's hard to say for future Tharia. But wow, didn't expect to hear that out of present Tharia, though.
I can handle myself.
And she's gone tsundere about it. Maybe Kellum's right. Maybe this family can change. Maybe the Tharia of this timeline won't end up becoming an abusive mother the way she did in the future. Then again, we'll actually find out a bit more about future Tharia's motivations a bit later on. Because there were a lot of circumstances involving her. She basically went completely off the deep end, and there was a reason for that. Okay, let's see what I have left to do. Still quite a lot of supports, actually, but I'm going to save the S's until the end. While we're on the subject of Tharia suddenly being nicer, let's go with her support with Noe. I decided to start these on a whim because I was training these two, but also because these supports are actually pretty amazing. They show an incredibly different side to Tharia that I never expected to see out of her. No, he has some pretty good lines. And that was random.
Huh?
Must be very, very hard to get a hold of Manakit talents these days. And I bet the future holds you and her being goth buddies who go around cursing preps.
Whoa!
I like a lot of Noe's dialogue for some reason. She's one of the few people who's not creeped out at all by Tharia's weird implements she needs for cursing.
Nope.
No, Noe already has her true love. But yeah, about her parents, all we know is that Noe's homeland is really far left, and that's basically all.
Interesting.
This is going to get more interesting as we see their later support levels. And let's see what we have left. Not all that much, actually, so let's go with Gary Stewart Nah A. I mostly want to get this recorded so I can focus on grinding up their S, because I do intend to show that in this same video as well. Is Naga being a troll again?
Whoa!
And I just want to point out something about this line. I went and looked up the Japanese version of this support, and predictably, the pie reference was not in the Japanese version at all. In fact, there was absolutely no reference to food at all. Morgan in the Japanese version just said, "Yep, you're correct." Basically, the first half of this line. So, what is it with the localization and pies? What is with this obsession? Did the localizers just all go to the same pie joint in their lunch hours or something? I mean, really, why? Why so many pies? It's just so bizarre.
Whoa.
So yeah, that whole thing was only one line in the Japanese version where Morgan basically just said, "Yep, you're correct." The rest of the support is pretty much identical between the two versions. Well, he's a stew, of course, he'd just randomly find it. Or sometimes the fanfiction author just goes, "Gary Stu happened to cross the flower randomly while he was walking because he is perfect and amazing at everything."
Yes.
Or it was Naga's doing.
Hey, thanks.
I admit this line is kind of sweet. I am actually starting to like this pairing, though I still think that Yarn is my favourite pairing for Na by far. It's really this and Yarn that are the only two pairings I actually like for her, because she can get very weird in other pairings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I admit this actually isn't a bad pairing, but I still like Yarn better for her, if only slightly. And out of what we have left, we have Lucina and Jerome's S support, Severa and Lawrence S support, and, well, you know what? I count this as a romantic support anyway, so let's go ahead and do this one.
Yes?
And of course, even Basilio is shipping it. I love these supports.
Hold on.
No, don't jest! Please let this actually be a pairing that happens. But they're gonna get a bit serious this time.
No.
But yeah, Basilio's not in charge anymore, technically.
Oh, great.
What?
All right. What?
That's actually not a bad idea. Or you could do some kind of a weird thing involving fire magic-based heating systems, considering that they've invented wind magic-based megaphones in this universe. Something like that might actually work. Well, we know how well-travelled Basilio is from Gregor's supports. Studying other cultures and customs, I wonder just how many countries Basilio's been to. Maybe it's been to Chonsin.
Oh my.
And she's quick to say, "Oh, I totally didn't praise you just then."
Nah.
And how I hope that romance part was true.
Now we're talking.
Oh, she's gonna take the advice, I know her.
Oh, great. All right.
Oh, it's like the support is just teasing people who want to ship these two.
Leave it to me.
And she actually saved that meat bottle from before. And Basilio and Flavia retain support level A. Why can't I actually ship these two? Why?
Just think of all the fun times we're gonna have. All the battles. I'm gonna make you proud.
In the name of Regna Ferox, I'll tear the whole world down if you but ask it of me. That's a Khan's promise.
Oh, if only that could actually happen. Sadly, it can't. But, speaking of romances that actually can happen, we have two that we can actually do now. Firstly, let's start off with, that was redundant, Severa and Lawrence.
Excuse me?
But yeah, with all their arguing, it seems these two are actually perfectly matched when it comes to shopping.
Indeed.
And Lawrence now accustomed to Severa's various, quirks. Well, yeah, she can be, especially to her own parents.
Right.
Hmm?
This should be pretty easy considering she's blushing.
Say.
And reference. Now, the thing about this line, you need to remember, the first Hobbit film only came out just a few months before Awakening was released in English, so this was actually a very topical reference at the time. It's not so much now. And yet you use magic. It's always weird when, there is a tendency for characters in fictional universes who practice magic to actually be really skeptical about things. Kinda hard to tell, but Lawrence actually is blushing too here. The big shadow that his gigantic hat casts across his face kind of masks it.
Simply put,
Right.
Yeah, considering that Severa's a tsundere, being rebuffed by her would really not end well for you. They might seem like opposites, but they are actually kind of similar in a lot of ways, and they complement each other pretty well. I really like that pairing, mostly for, like, that support I think is really good overall. Oh yeah, Lawrence is Sage now, by the way. And his magic is, actually really good. And now we have this one. This one's important because Jerome and Lucina are two of my strongest child characters, so them having an S support, oh, the carnage that will be unleashed.
you there.
Honestly though, the actual S support conversation is probably the only support of this pairing that's actually interesting, at least to me, but I really like this one. I read the S support ahead of time, and this is what made me decide on this pairing. That and the fact that drama CDs essentially heavily ship Lucina with Jerome, which sadly causes him to be targeted by rabid Lucina fanboys in the same way Sumi is targeted by rabid Crom fangirls. Yeah, shipping fandoms can get stupid sometimes.
Very well.
I mean, if you don't like two characters being paired together, just don't pair them together. You have that option.
No.
No, wait. Huh? What?
Yes.
Jerome's actually a lot shyer than he seems. He definitely didn't inherit, his father's, well, ways with women.
All right.
Lucina, you're kind of being a derp here. And yeah, childhood friend romance thing, which is pretty much the case for all of the future children. Yeah, Jerome is definitely not a craven. Again, Lucina, figure it out faster.
No.
Huh?
Listen.
And now he's going to be explicit about it. And yeah, he's no poet. That's more his father's thing. But he just came out and said it.
What?
Yes.
Well...
And this is why I like this pairing so much. Yeah, both of them tend to have trouble displaying their emotions, really. Which hopefully won't be for a very, very long time, considering how powerful they both are at this point. The only thing I regret about, well, not regret, but the only thing that I don't like about that support is that Jerome doesn't take off his mask. There are actually two pairings in which Jerome does take off his mask during the S support conversation, and they are if you pair him with a female Avatar or female Morgan. There is actually one other time where he does take off his mask though, and we might be seeing that eventually, hint hint. And that's every support that I have unlocked now, but there's one more S support that I want to do before we progress, so time to grind that up a bit. I'll see you back here in a little while. And I need to record this too. This just happened in the barracks, and while these two don't actually have support conversations, Crom actually has unique event tile and barracks dialogue for Emerin, which is a bit of a nice touch. Gangrel also has unique event tile and barracks dialogue with Emerin. Again, this kind of thing is annoying. Yeah, Sumia is technically married in this file even though she's considered dead. Henry isn't, and thus this has a hard. Anyway, I will really see you back next time. And I am back, and something I just realized annoyingly, I missed Jerome's birthday. I really need to fix the date of my 3DS so that I actually get the birthdays on the right day, but yeah, I missed Jerome's birthday, which is annoying. But anyway, we only have 2 more supports for this episode, so don't worry, it is almost over. And the first, well, yes, Morgan and Na now have their S support, so let's go ahead and do that. Gary Stu is finally going to attain the power of waifu. And then, Naga help us all. Actually, wait a minute, I don't think even Naga will be able to save us, because according to these supports, she's on his side.
Huh?
Nope.
Ah.
Well, that does kind of make sense. Yeah, we still have a few more chapters to go, and Grima is still out there, so...
So...
her other request, I wonder what that was.
What?
I see where this is going. Careful, nah, this guy isn't exactly who you think he is. And for the sake of, well, for her sake, I'm hoping she's talking about someone else here, but I really don't think she is.
Oh.
Nope.
And there it comes. You know, this is suspiciously just like how Crom dramatically announced his love for Mary Sue out of nowhere. Guess this kind of thing runs in the family. Well, I wouldn't say he risked his life, more like it just suddenly appeared near him because he has Gary Stu plot hacks. Yeah, apparently Naga, the leader of the Divine Dragons, eats flowers. Oh yes, he's very happy to hear her say this.
Trust me.
I see.
Probably had some kind of a hypnotism spell placed in that flower to force her to fall in love with him. Yeah, it's gonna take a while to getting used to because, well, initially I thought Gary Stu to be incapable of love. Oh yes, yeah, what does Naga think about this? I actually want to know. Well, I had already known about that line from this support. In fact, that was the first thing I knew about this this pairing. And that's actually part of why I did this support. Now, I know this is one of the most popular pairings for Na. I actually still like it too. It's probably my second favourite for her. Again, nothing will derail Yarn and Na. That is probably my favourite pairing in the entire second generation. Mostly because both Yarn and Na have other pairing options that are utterly horrible. So, actually having them both have a happy relationship is kind of rare. But, anyway. Now, so yeah, no offense to anyone who likes this pairing in general. So yeah, this is not Morgan, this is Gary Stu. And Gary Stu kind of just wants, to, yeah, have a waifu so he can enjoy unlimited power. So yeah, I feel really bad for Na over that. But the thing is, here's one thing that made me want to do this pairing for Gary Stu in particular. Again, I'm not meaning to take shots at this pairing, and I really don't mean any offense at all. I'm just saying this, okay? Having a, well, I know we know she's not a god now, but they kind of treat her as one that supports, so I'll just say this. Having a god ship a certain pairing, that really sounds like the kind of thing that would happen in a Mary Sue or Gary Stu fanfiction. It really does. It's like that cliche in Harry Potter fanfiction where it's like Dumbledore's shipping this pairing, so of course it's perfect and meant to be. Yeah, having a really, really powerful character in your story's plot ship the author's pairing of choice just to give it extra legitimacy. So yeah, in the case of Gary Stu, that's my headcanon there. That and Gary Stu's plot warping powers have got so powerful that even Naga is now submitting to his every whim. But anyway, yeah, not mean to ruin that support, but, well, it's Gary Stu, he ruins everything. But anyway, speaking of ruining things, yeah, originally I was going to stop there, but, and I feel really bad about having to end this on a sour note, I promised though that I would show this support so I could angrily rant about it. This is one of my most hated localization changes in the entire game, and there's no way I would go through the entire playthrough without ever showing this, so I'm going to show it. Just a warning, I'm going to be extremely negative about this support. And again, it's not the content of the support that bothers me, nor is it the relationship between Donald and Olivia that bothers me. It's what they did to the actual story that's mentioned in these supports that bothers me.
Dum-de-doo.
And I've never heard that voice clip of Donnie singing ever before, that's interesting. So yeah, this thing. Swan Princess, remember that. And was Olivia humming the level up jingle there? Well, Olivia kind of has a habit of sneaking up on people while they're doing embarrassing things.
Sorry.
So they're talking about one of Olivia's favourite ballads here. Unfortunately, this ballad loses a lot of its significance to longtime fans of the series in the English version. Also, this line actually changed quite a lot. In the Japanese version, Olivia actually explained where she originally heard the ballad, that I believe it was mountain woodcutters that she heard singing it, and that's where she learnt it from. And if you knew what it really is supposed to be, you'd be even sadder. So this thing about putting her realm to the torch. Originally, well, I'll explain it later, but this is meant to strike a chord with people who've played earlier games in the series. Unfortunately, it definitely wasn't evil swans who burned that home down. Definitely not.
Huh?
But apparently it actually doesn't end sadly.
Huh?
And this thing about brewing tea is actually not in the Japanese version either, but that's the least of this support's problems.
No.
Apart from the tea bit here, this line is pretty much similar to how it was in the Japanese version. And this line's pretty much identical to the original.
Huh?
Yeah, it's not really a sad song. Though, it is a heavily mangled account of history if you know what it's really meant to be referring to.
I owe you.
And it actually cuts out some other sad stuff, and let's just say the prince actually isn't quite as noble as the song makes it out to be. Well, yeah, I'll talk about that later. So, that was that support. Now let me explain to you why I loathe that support so much. In the Japanese version, it was not a white swan and a black swan. It was a white heron princess and a black raven prince. Yes, in the Japanese version, this wasn't just some generic swan princess crap, it was a direct reference to Naesala and Leanne from Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn. And this is why I hate this localization so much. Why the hell would they remove this reference? It makes no sense to me at all. Because of this, okay? In one of Olivia's other supports, Olivia's supports with Ricken, she mentions a story about a prince who falls in love with a forest maiden. This is a reference to Fire Emblem 4, a Japan-only Fire Emblem game, and they kept it in. Star and Sully supports reference Cain and Abel being known as the Bull and the Panther. Those titles were only in Mystery of the Emblem, a Japan-only Fire Emblem game, and they left that in. Sumiya, in her supports with the Avatar, reads books that are heavily implied to be based on Fire Emblem 4, a Japan-only Fire Emblem, and they left that in. This support references Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, two games that did come out in English, and they took it out! Why would they take out a reference to a Fire Emblem game that was released officially in English when they kept in references to Japan-only games? It makes no sense at all! Really, the only reason why I can see that anyone ever took this out in the localization, the only reason I can see why anybody would take this out is if one of the localizers was a Naesala and Raisin shipper and desperately wanted to write out any references to Naesala and Leanne being a canon pairing. That's really the only reason I can think for anyone to do this, because it's just so annoying. And again, knowing this is Naesala and Leanne, this support takes on a very interesting layer of meaning. Because for one, Naesala was a king, not a prince. But it's interesting just how it shows, just like Tiki and Marth supports, just how things just change over history. how when stories just become legends, everything just kind of gets distorted. It was a really interesting study of that, just how Nessala and Leanne's romance has just been reduced to a Princess and Prince Charming story, with no mention of Nessala's ridiculous backstabbing tendencies, and yeah, the fact that he was magically blackmailed into doing a bunch of really horrible things, and the fact that he once sold her brother into slavery. It was just quite interesting to just see all of that just being forgotten and just Nessala being remembered as just the Prince Charming for Leanne. It was just really fascinating. And this support loses all of it in the localization. So yeah, the homeland destroyed by fire, that was the Serenades Forest Massacre, which makes the whole thing where the support just says that evil swans did it, I almost find that borderline disgusting. Just, see, that event, okay, that happened in Path of Rant and Rant Dawn, that was genocide. That was an operation of ethnic cleansing. And to see it rendered almost comical here by making it so that swans did it, it's actually disturbingly, what's the word here? Disrespectful and tasteless, I guess is the word. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry for that rant, but yeah, I kinda had to do that, because that is, even as much as I keep ranting about how much Crom and Sumia and Henry and Olivia's supports got ruined in the localization, that actually may be a support that I hate more in the localized version, because... anyway, I'll stop about that. You know what, that's actually a perfect segue, because... that support originally talked about characters from Tellius, Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. That's going to be important where we're going. So, I'll see you for Paralogue 23, in the Garden of Giants, where we'll meet someone who might be a little familiar.